I'm quite neurodivergent, and I've known this for a while and felt like it wasn't necessarily my responsibility to the world to, you know, get myself diagnosed, start extensive treatment just so I could feel accepted by the people around me. That being said, I've done at least what I would describe as extensive personal research into the matter, which originally led me to a conclusion that did not make me very happy because the best um, self diagnosis that I could give with my um, symptoms, positive and negative, was schizophrenia. While it didn't exactly match perfectly, it was the most um, accurate thing, which is obviously rather scary if you're like a young man growing up and you're like, oh, I'm experiencing voices in my head. Like I have extreme insomnia. Like I get really anxious all the time. Like these aren't exactly fun things to deal with. So I was kind of just like almost being defiant in that I understood, but I was going to fight it. Like I was going to do this on my own, which was a decision. I'm not going to say whether it was good or bad because I don't know. I definitely wasn't in the position with medical insurance, and getting like a positive diagnosis can take as much as 6 months. And that's like if the psychiatrist that you're going to is actually really, really dedicated into getting you diagnosed as soon as possible. However, recently I have discovered articles and videos concerning a new diagnosis, which is the like coexisting autism and ADHD. And then once I wrapped my head around that one, I was like, okay, you actually do have an uncle. I believe I have an uncle who has ADHD and an aunt who has autism on separate sides of my family. So like that's actually not out of the realm of question that I don't have schizophrenia. In fact, that I have autism and ADHD. And like, whilst that's not necessarily a miracle within itself, it does mean that my mind isn't necessarily just caving in upon itself, because that tends to happen to a lot of people with schizophrenia. But I did experience like a rather off-putting sleep for the past 2 nights. I've been experiencing a lot of like waking hallucinations, which is when you essentially start dreaming before you actually fall asleep. Like I will be laying there and I will see images, and sometimes there'll be sounds that go with the images. Sometimes it's just sounds. But there was a lot of like flashing images, most of which were random. Some I could describe as animals, some as places, very few people. But like that was, I did manage to sleep for a few hours, even though it was very distracting. But I'm pretty sure that one does pan out with that experience by itself, which is relieving, but it's also like, yeah, you are neurodivergent and people will see you as different. They're going to treat you differently, but like, eh, c'est la vie, people. Like, if you're neurodivergent as well, and like, I know a lot of people would not recommend self diagnosis, but I don't think that you should be scared to do your research and to just know some information, Like, knowledge is power.